Welcome, Stanley. There, we got it out of the way. We're done.
And okay, we're not gonna make I'm not gonna make any jokes about it, unless it's a really good one. But I don't think there will be a really good one, so I'm not gonna make any jokes about it. This is the Great Discovery. Hi everyone, my name is Vinnie, and I'm very opinionated about Thomas movies. Matt is usually not so opinionated, but this time I think he will be. Explain what you did, Matthew.
I actually watched the movie this time.
Woo! Like a big boy.
I didn't write any notes, however.
Okay, but here's a grease and oil first, as far as I'm concerned, because he could have secretly really liked Misty Island, and he was like, yeah.
Jokes.
But so this is the first outwardly not Thomas debate, grease and oil podcast debate, because upon rewatching The Great Discovery for this video, I found out that I actually really, really liked it, and Matt did not.
I mean,
so,
I didn't hate it.
We're gonna see who can make the better argument here. If grease and oil is not worth watching,
No.
but if The Great Discovery, is it worth watching, and is it even a good film? I don't think it's great. I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it's pretty solid. I think it's top 3 best Thomas films, to be honest.
I didn't hate The Great Discovery, but I didn't love it either. It was.
I kind of loved it, I gotta say.
Did you really?
I really was not. I was expecting to, like, okay, this is dumb. Okay, this is stupid. Oh, no, this is gonna be dumb. I really enjoyed it. This is the best Sharon Miller special, and I don't count Blue Mountain Mystery, because everything in Blue Mountain Mystery that people like is something that Andrew Brenner added. So that's just a Sharon Miller special.
I thought it was pretty bland. I say that about most of the Thomas movies, though, because they kind of are.
Well, most of the Thomas movies are pretty bland. That's true. But I thought this one had a lot of character to it.
Okay, you start. Explain why.
All right. Well, I mean, I have, like the other films, I have notes that are, like, chronological in the movie. And I feel like you're going to want me to get through as many as possible.
Yes.
So, we're going to start. Okay, so welcome. We're not doing tweet time this week, and this episode might actually have to be split into 2 episodes just so we can milk the money machine that is definitely the Grease and Oil podcast. Because as we all know, Matt and I are only in it for the cash. We're like turtles. We're just custom showcase models. Doesn't matter. Well, as long as we upload something every week, it's fun.
Also, as we all know, these episodes are all definitely monetized.
And these episodes are all definitely brought to you by Audible.com. Audible.com is an exclusive online video, exclusive content, exclusive website.
They're terrible.
And
they make audiobooks.
Me personally, I really love all of their books about Star Wars.
Frickin' review.
All right, so thank you for go to audible.com/GAOP and get 25%
We're not
off
actually
your
sponsored this episode.
Go. Hey, shut up. We're going to audible.com/GAOP and get 25% off your first dildo purchase. Only dildos. We only sell dildos. That's it. All right, so the first 2 minutes of the film are basically the opening to the Thomas PBS broadcast from like 2004 to 2012-ish.
I really want to hate, but I kind of can't because I grew up with it.
It's nostalgic. I grew up with like the old Thomas tapes from like the 90s, and I watched the show as it was airing. So, like, one of my very first memories is watching season 8 air when it was like mixed with season 7 in 2004.
I remember that. Yeah, I really want to hate this intro, but I can't.
Okay, I love it for what it is, and it's nostalgic. However, this is a movie. This is not the TV show.
You're right.
And as a movie, this makes no fucking sense. It's given the same amount of filler intro that the show had, which is unnecessary when you're making a film, much less, the last film that actually used the models. The intro sequence is very nostalgic, but I'm glad they didn't do this with the later films, because if they did, this is a movie. I like it as a half-hour block of a TV show with other segments and songs and skits and things. It's fine, but here, I don't know. It's also a little weird hearing Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
But
also, can we talk about Pierce Brosnan's narration for just a second?
That's actually my next point here. So I'm gonna make the positive, and I'm pretty sure Matt doesn't like. Do you like him or no?
We'll get to it.
Okay, so this is my next bullet point after the PBS. So the movie opens with the Thomas and friends making treks to great destinations, and it's like, okay, this is nice. If it was TV, it doesn't matter. And after that, I said, right from the beginning, I absolutely love Pierce Brosnan's narration, and I'm making it super gay. Oh my god! I gotta stop. I absolutely love Pierce Brosnan's narration.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like.
Unlike Brandon or Angelus at this point, Brosnan is completely fresh. He doesn't have any baggage from the other season. He's ready to go. He's ready to narrate. It's a new experience for him, and it's very clear that he's having fun throughout the movie. He speaks in a really soothing way, as Rob and I like to make fun of. It's Thomas was so sad. None of the engines like me.
That's actually what I don't like about it.
It's not like that throughout the entire film. He gets excited, he gets interested, he does different character voices, but he's not perfect. Like I said,
it sounds like he's half asleep for the entire movie.
Well, I wouldn't say that. He puts too much emphasis on the slower moments, but I wouldn't say he sounds bored or like he's half asleep. Brandon sounds bored and half asleep. Angela sounds bored and half asleep. In this his only instance in narration, I think he does a pretty good job. Like, well, I mean, because you look at like the interviews from the movie. And like he imagined he was telling the story to his children as like a bedtime story, much like how Audrey had done like 60 years earlier. Other people really don't like it, and I'll admit a lot of his character voices aren't great, but I see him as kind of like a modern day Ringo in that regard. A lot of his voices sound the same, but the narration is so relaxing and just makes you want to lean back and enjoy the ride. So I think he's kind of like Ringo in that regard. He's Ringo. Most of his characters sounded.
You mean your cat Ringo?
Ringo Starr, the narrator of Thomas from season 1 to season 2, a lot of what he said was just Thomas, blah, 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 blah. He did this and he did that.
Also, your
Thomas.
cat Ringo.
Also, yes, Ringo also narrated. That's true. But all the stuff that he says is just Thomas was a very blah blah blah. He buffed on the branchland, and it's really soothing and it's really nice. But he doesn't do. There's not a whole lot of variation. Like James sounds like Henry, sounds like Edward, sounds like Thomas. And Bertie and Harold and Duck and Percy all have the same voice. And he only really does something different for, like, Gordon. Maybe a couple other,
Do you remember when everyone got all excited because there was some announcement that Pierce Brosnan was going to narrate the rest of the series?
Okay, so here's the thing with that, is that Hit Entertainment really didn't like Angelus or Brandon by the time season 11 was happening, and they wanted to bring back the celebrity narrator, because that was a part of the classic series. Is you had a famous person telling the stories. You had Ringo, you had George, you had Alec Baldwin, and then this nobody Brandon face can't come in, and that's fine. And they wanted to get another celebrity. So the idea was that they would start out with Pierce Brosnan narrating the movie. The movie would be his introduction, and then after that he would introduce the series. And he had like a contract for like season 13, 14, 15. He was going to narrate the CGI series, and somebody right after he did all of Great Discovery, and he was working on season 12, and somebody at the office told him, oh yeah, we're switching to CGI, we're not doing the models, and he wasn't having any of it. He was fucking pissed, and he's like, no, you got to take me off this thing. I don't want to be interested if you're changing it to a cheap cartoon. And that's exactly what they did. It got better.
What a guy.
But it's exactly no. He there's footage of him doing season 12. His contract was for season 12, 13, 14. He would have narrated Hero of the Rails and Misty Island and Day of the Diesels.
Man, those would have been different.
Those would have been totally different with Pierce, with an actual fucking celebrity who's like good, doing narrating. But he was like, fuck, I'm only interested if you're doing the classic models. And so because he only narrated one thing that was the classic models, that was the only thing he got credited for. So they brought the other not celebrities back to do season 12 after him. But I don't really mind him. There's elements that are not great of him, but overall, I like him a hell of a lot better than Angelus or Brandon.
Oh, you're right. You're right about that one for sure.
It's not just, but it's not exactly like a comparison thing. Like, oh, he's better by comparison. I like what he does a lot of the time. But what do you think?
I think he's better by comparison. I wouldn't say I love him just on his own, but I get where you're coming from with that. Yeah, I just think he sounds half asleep most of the time. And it's
not half asleep. It's that he just speaks too quiet. I don't think he's being lazy.
Sounds like he's doing Thomas ASMR.
I would agree. Yes, but I don't think he sounds lazy at all, because it's his brand new thing, and he's super excited during interviews. He's really into it. I don't think Angelus was super bored in that time. I don't think Brosnan was.
Well, I mean, we can all disagree on things.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's the whole point of this. Is a debate. Here we go. All right. So, let's see. Oh wait, let me go back to the doc.
And I'm gonna pad a little bit until Vinnie finds his notes. And
I have it.
Still leaving the station.
I have it. We're still leaving the station. 69%. Whatever. All right. So, This was the first special to be written by Sharon Miller. She
Herself.
wrote other. Yes, hopefully. But she wrote stuff. I think she joined the writing team in like season 9 or season 10, and she wrote episodes and did little things. But they brought her on as the head writer. I don't know why, but I don't know what talent she possessed. They're like, oh, she shows potential. But they brought her on as the head writer, starting with this film. This was the first film that she wrote as head writer. And as much as I like how outgoing in comparison it was to Calling All Engines, like, cause fucking nothing happened in Calling All Engines. But in this one, a bunch of stuff happens, and it's really different. It's very thematic. But as much as I like how outgoing it is in comparison, you can immediately sense the difference in writing by the first line. The first line of the movie is, Sodor Day was coming to the island of Sodor.
What a shitty fucking line. God.
And the way Pierce Brosnan reads it is almost like, really? This is where I open the movie. He's like, he literally reads it. Sodor Day was coming to the island of Sodor.
He's like, are you serious? Is this what I
signed
up for?
This has gotta be. You gotta do better.
This is not what I signed up for.
But the first line fucking sucks, and it's very like, okay,
he could already tell that he wanted out.
This is a Sharon Miller script. That's great. And so the movie opens after like 7 minutes of intros. The movie opens with Sodor Day, and I don't know if it's like the Independence Day or like the Columbus Day of Sodor. I don't know.
Topham Hatt fought off a bunch of aliens.
Yeah, or something, but. I'd love to see that prequel film.
I would too.
I'd love to see that.
We need to make it.
But okay, so the Sodor Day festivities are literally every large event of the new series. There's so many episodes, carnivals and festivities and birthday picnics and all that stuff. And it's like Sodor Day is like all of these things combined, I guess. Which, you know, for a day celebrating Sudrian heritage and lifestyle actually makes a lot of sense. You know, like if you were commemorating an island of people who do nothing but go to children's parties and carnivals all day, I see no reason why this wouldn't be how you celebrated its anniversary. This is how they spend their 4th of July, you know,
that
whatever.
That said, it's still poorly written.
Oh, it's still fucking dumb and they didn't do anything new, but it's like, yeah, I guess if this is all you ever did, this is how you would want to commemorate it, I guess. Whatever, that's fine, whatever. And it's not even... Sodor Day isn't even really a plot point. It's the Great Waterton part that comes in later. So it's not like there's no huge carnivals that come into play during the story at all. That's it. It's just the beginning. So, you know, you got there's the film. I got to give it credit. The film does not open with "It was a beautiful day on the island of Sodor."
I know.
It doesn't do that. It does not open like that.
It's a new record.
Yeah. So we get less than a minute of exposition without a single "It's a beautiful day on the island of Sodor" line, and we're immediately.
Sure if this was a Thomas movie anymore.
Yeah, and it's like, wow, okay. So we have, you know, about 30 seconds worth of exposition. It's done very briefly, quickly. You get the point. You get the setup, what's happening in the story, and immediately they plunge you into the main plot, following Thomas through a really fucking catchy song. There's absolutely nothing wrong here.
I totally forgot there was music in this movie.
Thomas and James are racing. It's a really catchy song, and it'd be so much better than just if they had like a montage or something. Mm-hmm. Like they show the song, and you hear the characters in their monologue, and it's a memorable part.
Do you remember Do you remember that wooden railway set that was
the race to the wharf, and it had Colin for some reason? It's like, he wasn't here yet.
In the prototype picture, yeah.
He wasn't in the actual set.
No, he wasn't in the actual set.
He what? Really? Well, then what the fuck was the point of the set? What else did they have?
I think it had... I'll type it right now.
I thought... No, I'm pretty sure, because I've seen other pictures of it, other than just the promo pic. I'm pretty sure it had Colin.
Let's go to the Wooden Railway Wiki, because that's the most definitive fucking site on the... God damn it, I can't find it. You keep talking, I'll find it. Keep doing your discussion thingy, I'll find it.
Okay. Okay. So the movie's actually starting out pretty good. You got about 2 minutes of song.
Sorry, got it. There's the Race to the Wharf set. No, it doesn't have Colin. It has the Sodor Bay cargo crane.
Oh, so they switched it. Okay.
They did. Colin was at the prototype, but he wasn't in the actual set.
All right. So you got about 2 minutes of the song. It's really catchy.
Oh wait, sorry.
Nothing.
Sorry. Psych. There was a set called A Day at the Wharf set,
That's what I was thinking of. The Day at the Wharf. No, wait, no. The Day at the Wharf said that's the one. That's the one with the shed and Thomas and Percy.
No, that's the one with James and Thomas.
Oh, that's the transfer. Wait, that's the transfer yard.
I have no idea what you're thinking about right now.
I have the transfer yard set. That's the one with the blue crane and Thomas and Percy. Okay, that's the one. Okay, just whatever. Fuck, whatever.
We prepare these podcasts.
I did with my, but okay.
I really don't.
Yeah. So
as we might
one of the reasons I absolutely love this film so much is how they managed to write a plot that seamlessly incorporated as many characters and locations as it could. Everyone who was relevant in the show at that point appears in some way in the story, but it doesn't seem like forced at all.
Except for Duck.
Duck was not relevant in the show at the time, so I don't count that. So like no, but like it makes sense. They don't. It doesn't seem like here's Stanley. Why? Because
Stanley, we need to welcome him.
We need to welcome him, and he's the new engine, and, you know, they need the new engine for whatever, for the plot. It makes sense. Nothing is forced here. The Skarloey engines are involved because the town is right next to their railway. And the pack is involved because they need to help out with the construction, and all the steam team characters need to be there in order to deliver the goods from the site. It all flows together really well, you know, and it's a final hurrah for the model team. And as soon as Thomas and James arrive at the wharf, you get to see all the narrow gauge engines, like fucking all of them. Not to mention that Duncan, of all engines, is the one that sets the plot into motion. He's the reason that he's the reason that the story even happens at all. He's completely in character the entire time. It's really well done.
There's gonna be like 3 people that understand that joke.
Oh no, I get the joke.
I don't even understand the joke.
Because you've never watched the TV show before.
You're right, I don't understand the joke because I don't watch the TV show. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's great.
Join us on our next episode, guys.
Okay.
There you go.
Whatever the fuck. Okay. So Thomas and James arrive at the wharf, and you get to see all the engines, and it's really fucking cool, and it's very busy. And then Thomas wins their little race, and Percival's there to congratulate them. And in the scene where Mr.
I don't like Mr. Percival as a character. I'm sorry. I know I keep interrupting you, but I just don't like.
He's just no. Well, it's nice that Topham isn't the end all be all controller of the Sudrian universe.
The Sudrian cinematic universe.
Yes, the SEU.
No, SU.
SU.
That's
Sudrian.
A terrible little joke. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So in the scene where Mr. Percival explains to Thomas his job in particular, each one of the characters in the scene has their own distinct voice and defined personality. And they're all like, it's not like anyone's out of character. It's all really well done. This especially is like it's actually really good. And Brosnan's voice and for Duncan and Thomas in particular is like freaking spot on. Like, if you went to the island of Sodor, this is how I imagine Thomas and Duncan talking. If you were like, "Hello, Thomas," like that, this is how I'd imagine them speaking. It totally works in character. I think it really works. But okay, so Duncan tells Thomas that it's a quicker way to get to the wharf after they get the logs, and they give him some random shortcut. And Thomas is all fucking pissed off at Duncan because Duncan's a fucking asshole. And he's like, "Okay, fine, I'll go into the woods, you fucking Jew, whatever." So Duncan sends Thomas off into the wilderness, and we, as an audience, are left in suspense. You know, nothing truly mindless has happened yet in the movie. This could go really well. And then the next scene is really fucking dumb.
Yeah, it's real dumb.
The bridge scene is definitely one of the worst parts of the movie. It's shot well, it's directed well, it's narrated well, but come on.
I'm gonna admit, when I was watching it, I was getting flashbacks to the bridge jump scene from freaking.
You're getting flash forwards.
Flash forwards.
To the Great Race.
So
the thing is, it's not the fact that the scene itself is poorly done. The scene, out of context, works really well. It's all, the lighting is good, the directing is good, the narration is good. It's all good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. You know, even the suspense in the scene is well done with the timing of the editing and how the music is. Like, the music's really good. But all you can think about through the entire scene of how dumb Thomas is portrayed. And then when he returns to the transfer yards, how utterly pointless the sequence ends up being. Yeah. It was clearly a demand made by the manufacturers of Trackmaster to sell a big toy.
We need a fun action scene.
Yes, we need to sell a big toy based off of the film. which, I suppose is fine in this business, but it doesn't work from the standpoint of a feature at all. Maybe if the bridge had come into play during the climax, like if Stanley and Thomas had to cross it in order to get back home, but Thomas was still really upset and they had to put their differences aside to save each other from like fucking dying. But like as is, it sticks out like a sore thumb because there's this big action scene, and then Thomas goes back and then he finds Great Waterton, and no one ever talked about the bridge again, and it just happens. It just collapses. And that was weird.
Yeah, that's
go back
true.
now.
The bridge never came back into play.
The bridge never comes back into play. No one ever mentions it, or hey, Thomas, you destroyed a bridge, asshole.
Yeah, why doesn't Matt yell at Thomas for that? Like he always yells at the other engines for doing.
This is okay. You destroyed public property, but that's fine, I guess. All right, bye. It doesn't play into anything. It's not important, and they could have made it work into the climax, but it's really fucking dumb as is. It's just a hey, we need a toy. Here we go. So Thomas crosses over to the points to Great Waterton, and the set of the transfer yards disappears mid-shot. Like they
really?
cut back. They cut to Thomas went back to the points after the bridge collapsed, and you see the transfer yards, and then you do a close up of the point switching, and they cut back to Thomas, and the transfer yards is fucking nowhere, and now he's in the middle of the woods.
That's so funny.
Because they cut they cut between the large scale and the small scale of Thomas, because I guess they didn't have the right face for the dialogue or something. Like it's a bad thing, but I think it's just interesting. Like they totally, in the middle of the scene, it just cuts from the transfer yards to the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, right in the middle of the scene. It's really weird.
That's pretty funny.
But the flaws of the previous scene are all but gone by the time Thomas arrives in Great Waterton. Holy shit, this set is incredible, and you can see why
it's pretty sweet. I have nothing.
You can see, you can definitely see why Hit felt that the models were too expensive at this point. They spent so much time and money making this set look great. It's a feat to behold in the overgrown and the restored livery.
Yeah, I got no complaints about this.
The music is also again, Ed Welch did some cool things, I guess, but or not Ed. No, it was Robert Hartshorn. At this point, he did some cool things. Wasn't a whole lot to take in. It was whatever, I guess, fucking fine. But the music in this scene and a lot of other bits in the movie is really well done. It's all like it's like really spooky and mysterious and like, holy shit, this town means something. This is important. What the fuck? This is like actually a really cool part. And the music's very good. And like the last scene, it was just like like the wah, 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 wah,
I love
like
it when that happens.
The horns of the narrow gauge, like the really loud horns, and then it cuts
to. What does it sound like?
You can look up the scene for yourself, asshole.
Are you sure you don't want to sing it again?
It's really loud, like just trumpets, just screaming, and then all of a sudden it gets all really subtle and mysterious. It's really cool. But so there's it signifies the tonal shift, But once again, very little to critique in the next 3 minutes. So Thomas finds this hidden town in the woods, and he has to keep trekking through, and eventually he runs into Madge. And I gotta say,
Madge is such a pointless character. Oh my god.
She's a really pointless character, but I gotta say, for one reason or another, I really like Madge. I don't know. I think she's really cool looking, and like they run into the Skarloey. They run into the Skarloey engines. So out of all the characters to meet up with the Skarloey engines, like that was the perfect choice. It would be weirder if they ran into Birdie. Like, why the fuck would Birdie be in the middle of the woods?
Madge's nose is absolutely enormous.
No, she's a weird. I like the design. Her voice is weird, and she's pointless in everything except for this movie, I think. But I really like her in this one little bit, because it'd be weird if oh hey, Terrence, what are you doing in the middle of the mountains? What are you doing here, asshole? What the fuck? You should be plowing a field in Farquhar. But Madge makes sense in this scene. It's a good character choice, so it all works. And so Madge goes off and tells Mighty Mac, and Mighty Mac tells Renee tells your mom tells your dad. Soon you're kicked out of the house. And that's too real. There's definitely a season 5 vibe I get from this entire movie, which is probably why I like it so much. It's like a mix.
I wouldn't go that far.
No, not the entire thing.
Okay.
But there's definitely a season 5 vibe that I get from the whole movie, right down to like, Harold arrives outside Topham. That's like shot for shot remake of Oliver's Find from season 5. It's the exact same thing. There's a bunch of, not the entire movie, but there's a bunch of scenes in the movie that remind me of season 5. There's a lot like the mine scene is just put upon Percy done better. And there's a bunch of shit where it's like, this is really good. This is very, very David Mitton without it, being David Mitton. And so there's a lot of elements like the Sir Topham Hatt scene when Harold arrives outside the Topham Manor, I guess, in Wellsworth. It's
Stately
really cool.
Topham Mansion.
Exactly, yeah. So Thomas takes Sir Topham Hatt. I don't know where they ran into him, like a rendezvous point. Who knows? But they ran into. He takes Sir Topham Hatt back to Great Waterton. And, Sir Topham Hatt's description of Great Waterton builds on practically, the untouched, at this point, like the untouched history of Sodor. The TV show is, Sodor is a place and the trains don't shut up. Okay. And that's about it. And then this is like one of the first, this is like one of the first times in the series that they actually like, hey, what happened before Thomas got stuck on the back of Gordon's train in season 1? What happened there? And so Sir Topham Hatt's description is like
classic episode.
No, it's really cool to learn about like this was the main town and all the people left because blah blah blah, and it's really cool. So gotta ask though, does Topham wax his eyebrows or
That's the thing you're gonna notice.
There's so many close-ups of him, and he's
okay.
just,
Hold on, we'll settle this once and for all. I'll go to the Thomas Wikia, God bless, base god Thomas Wikia, and I'll look at some pictures of Sir Topham Hatt, and we'll settle this debate once and for all.
Look at him in The Great Discovery.
Okay. Also, can we take a second and acknowledge that Gwyneth Paltrow was going to narrate this movie originally?
That's what I'm saying. They were looking for a celebrity voice actor to replace the guy.
Terrible narrator.
She would have been awful. But they were going to get her. They were looking for some celebrity, and they got Pierce Brosnan, and he was going to narrate the show. But then he found out that they were switching to a cheap cartoon, and he got fucking pissed off.
Yeah. Gwyneth Paltrow, I don't like her. Almost as much as I don't like any other woman. No, that was a joke. I'm just kidding. Please don't take that literally.
All right. Fine. Tell that to Eric. He'll be really upset.
Yeah, he will. He'll be triggered.
He's a beautiful woman. Gotta say, especially in his old videos with his super like hippie hair.
He's Johnny B. Good. I only hate the most beautiful women.
All right,
like Kate Upton and Jennifer Lawrence and Eric.
I mean, yeah, but they don't wax their eyebrows like Topham
does. Full circle.
He's already strange enough as it is. I mean, he spent the entire journey He spent the entire journey from Great Waterton all the way to Tidmouth, leaning his entire body out of the cab. He's not like in the cab, but he peeks his head. He's leaning his entire fucking body on one arm.
Dude,
he's sitting out of the cab for like, think about that's like 40 fucking miles to get to the other side of the island. That's really long.
I'm sorry, I was looking through the gallery on the Thomas Wiki here for the Great Discovery, and I got distracted just by something at the end of the movie. You know when Jeremy flies over Great Waterton?
Why is he pooping blood?
He's blood farting, dude.
Why is he blarding? His jet fuel is red, and it's like the only thing to say is that was Jeremy. He was flying high.
Maybe that's immediately what follows the scene in The Incredibles of Syndrome getting sucked into the jet engine, and Jeremy's just spewing Syndrome's blood everywhere.
I was thinking, like the red caped girl.
Stratogale.
Yes, caught in a jet turbine. Oh wait. Okay, can somebody listening, all two of you that are listening to this episode, can you cut those scenes together from The Incredibles of Stratogale?
Rick, you're a memer. You got this, dude.
Rick, the official memer. Can you please cut this two scenes together and then cut to Jeremy in the sky? All right, I want to see this in a week, which is about a little less than when this episode's coming out. So, okay, so Topham's a fucking weirdo. And he's like, okay, I better call Miss Jenny to do this thing for me. Thank you very much. And I do love, there are Tidmouth sheds and it cuts to him in his office. I actually really love how the score immediately switches to the PAX theme as soon as Miss Jenny appears. Like, it makes you feel, for once, that the team making the show remembers the past and is, like, trying to keep continuity. Which is a principle.
Did you ever have that DVD? of the Jack in the Pack DVD?
I watched it. I never like.
You
I
never,
never owned
you
it.
never owned it?
I borrowed it from the library.
I own that DVD.
The red one.
It's so weird because all the Pack's faces are so huge.
They're very big. Yeah. But no, because it was some random spin-off thing, and like Hit really hated it, and they brought it back for this for some reason. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see him again. But it's like this movie puts such a huge emphasis on like the continuity of the past, unlike Calling All Engines, which tries to make like its own weird canon of how like people like George and Daisy and Lady and Diesel 10 are all portrayed. The Calling All Engines doesn't fit into anything, and this one's like, hey, we're gonna remember the past here. We're gonna get a little nostalgic here. It's pretty great. So yeah, so this they're gonna bring back the Pack, and it's actually really well done. So you get to see all the different engines and the different crews and how they react to Thomas's discovery. And it makes the island feel much bigger and a lot more connected. And like all these characters, like, because you watch something like Magic Railroad, and it's like, what the fuck was Duke doing all of this? Was he still stuck in his shed? What was going on? What was Duke? What was Derek doing during Magic Railroad? In this one, you get to see what literally everyone except for Duck is doing. Literally everyone. You can see everyone, and it's great. And I love it but they don't put too much emphasis. It's not like we have 7 different scenes with Skarloey that make no difference in the plot. Almost everything that happens in this movie, other than the bridge thing and like 2 other little bits, all add to the plot, and they all work in the film's favor. So you got this montage of jobs aplenty, and like I said, the songs in this film are really fucking catchy. They're paced perfectly throughout the story. Clever lyrics, great visuals, and melodies that stick in your head. There's nothing wrong here. It's exactly how you'd expect to see this scene take place. There's no better way to do it.
That kind of sounds like you're being sarcastic right now.
I'm genuinely not. I really like this song. I really like it.
It sounded a little bit like you're being sarcastic.
No. I'm serious. These are really good.
Okay.
Are
you sure about that?
No. So they cut back to Thomas at the turntable, and the fact that Thomas is put in charge of all the work is really kind of dumb in like a realism sense, but if you think about it in terms of like the story and what needs to happen in order for the characters and their motivations to feel correct, Thomas needs to feel important, and then distance, he needs to be taken off his high horse once who arrived. It's all very important to how character-driven the story is, so I don't really mind. Like, Calling All Engines is just, yeah, shit happens, this happens, that happens, whatever. This one, you get to feel every emotion that all the characters are having, and everything that needs to happen that's important happens, and it's really well done. So, in terms of the actual story, the fact that Thomas is put in charge is really important to how he gets, dethroned later on. So I don't really mind. It's King still Thomas. Dumb. It's dumb, but it kind of works. Okay. So I don't really mind. It's dumb, but I don't really mind it because it's important. If they didn't have that element in the story, it wouldn't be the same. It would be a lot worse. So
okay, yeah, all right, I'll give you that one. Yeah, sure.
He has to feel important, and he has to be dethroned, and that's really important for how the characters act. So Stanley, gotta say, he's pretty awesome.
You not really think meme, so?
Not because of the meme. He's pretty awesome. He looks cool. He's like that one overly religious kid at school that can do absolutely no wrong, and everyone like, yeah, you might believe that, like, you might be a Scientologist, and you might believe that alien ghosts went into the souls of cavemen and gave us the truth.
Is that really what Scientology's about?
I don't want to get into Scientology, but yes.
Next episode, we're gonna have L. Ron Hubbard on the podcast, guys.
Awesome. All right, we'll get Xenu as well. It'll be great, great time. But he's like, I don't know what you're doing exactly, but holy shit, you're really nice and really funny, and everyone likes you, and you're made to feel this. Stanley's really important to the story. And I don't think that the new engine takes Thomas's life plotline was overused yet. But when they did it in Lost Treasure, that was overused. That was really dumb. But here, I don't really think, it hadn't been done to the scale that it's done here. So I don't really mind it. However, the way that it's executed is pretty poor. We're told through a variety of scenes that Stanley is hardworking, he's likable, he's fun.
Why didn't they show us that?
But we're never shown this.
Literally,
at this point,
first rule of storytelling is show, don't tell.
I was gonna say that, but okay. Well, no, we're shown all these things. At this point in the movie,
you mean we're told all these things?
Stanley hasn't even spoken a single line yet. Sharon Miller's biggest problem before Nitrogen came along was her lack of nuance. She never learned, like I said, the most important rule of filmmaking: show, don't tell. So we're meant to feel that Stanley's a really likable guy. We'll see him pulling out some women. We see him bathing with Thomas's fuckboy. We see all these things.
We see him shunting Annie and Clarabelle without Thomas knowing.
Exactly what I'm saying. But it's important to the story. All these scenes are needed, but the way they're done are really dumb. It's not well done because you're just, Gordon's like, Stanley is so nice and you fucking suck, Thomas. Goodbye. And that's about it. So,
I don't like Stanley.
So Thomas goes to the sheds and a scene that will later be copied in Day of the Diesels. And as you'd expect, it's handled a hell of a lot better here. There's no overly depressing shots of Thomas crying or thoughtlessly cruel lines or racist lines from the other engines. Everyone is just caught up in the moment.
Misty Island Rescue.
And Day of the Diesels. Both of them have the whole racist diesel thing.
That's true.
But no, because diesels can be devious. Don't go to the Diesel Works. It's dark and it's dirty and it's full of Mexicans.
I just realized, they're basically saying the Diesel Works is like the ghetto of Sodor.
That's the whole point, is don't go there. The other people are there. They're dirty. Don't go there.
Oh my god.
Stay in our nice pristine white neighborhood of the Steamworks. That's the whole point. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Great Discovery, which is a pretty good movie in my opinion. So in this scene, no one is overly cruel. Everyone's like, hey, Stanley's cool. Stanley's, joking with the engine. He's whistling. He's doing all these funny things, and everyone's liking him. This scene is done well. The other scenes where, like, everyone is telling Thomas that Stanley's a cool guy, that's not really done. Here, he speaks, oh, you want to come in, Thomas? So I'll take your place. He's like, no, fuck you. I'll go elsewhere. It's done really well. It's executed. It's pretty well executed. So the following scenes are a bit goofy as well, but like I said, they work in the favor of the story. Like, if Stanley now has Thomas's job, who is pulling Annie and Clarabelle? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Thomas gets into a serious
accident. Did you say if Stanley has Thomas's job, then who's pulling Annie and Clarabelle?
Like I said, Thomas falls off a cliff and he fucking dies, and he has to go to the not just the works, not the steamworks yet. He has to go to the works. And in his place, Sir Topham Hatt puts Stanley in charge. So now, Stanley has Thomas's job, but who's pulling Annie and Clarabelle? Do they have to get a third new engine to do that now?
Oh, like I understand now. Oh,
what's the deal?
Ryan.
Okay. Yes, they brought Ryan in. The model version of Ryan. He's still played by Eddie Redmayne.
I think we just pitched Keekred 24's next movie, Ryan's Origins.
Ryan's Origins. He did that thing with, like, what were Splatter and Dodge doing after
The Strange Case of Splatter and Dodge.
And then, yeah, exactly. And Lady the Lost Engine or whatever. And all that stuff. I remember those. But no, so the next couple scenes, you get to see Thomas in his environment, and then he fucking dies. And he's given, they're showing the decline of Thomas's sanity, so to speak, and how the world is, like, moving on without him. That way, he
makes friends with a loose hubcap called Wilson.
Exactly. So, the drastic measures that he takes later in the film, they don't feel out of place or harsh. You need to feel sympathetic towards your protagonist. In this instance, I really think you do. The crash is also really cool, not to mention the birth of, the most important meme in Thomas's online life. But we're not going to talk. We're moving on. So the plot device.
Do you mean? I don't know what meme you're talking about. Do you mean and then Thomas flipped over? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, that's exactly what that's actually what I was talking about. That's not even a joke. I was talking about it. And then Thomas flipped over.
Because there's no other memes that come from this movie.
Much less this scene.
No other memes.
No. But the next couple scenes are showing Thomas getting less popular, and he's getting more pissed off, and it's important so that the other scenes don't feel out of place. And Thomas shunts these line of trucks for Stanley to take. And the plot device of the line of trucks totally works. It doesn't feel too cruel. because Thomas is not only in character, he's being a cheeky Injun, which is something we don't really see from him ever at this point. He's being really cheeky, like his old character, but he's being pushed to his limits. He's going a little further than he thinks he should. But he's like, okay, well, Stanley's fucking asshole because he took my job, and everyone likes him, and it doesn't feel out of place as the character. It doesn't feel too harsh at all.
For sure, I'm editing that out.
Okay.
I'm editing that out, but I'm not editing out the part where I say I'm editing it out. So all you viewers are going to be left to wonder what I edited out.
Awesome. So, the Stanley takes a bunch of trucks up the hill. The chain breaks in classic season 5 fashion, and the tower collapses. Like, once again, very, very.
That's a cool
5.
scene.
Not to mention, you feel so bad.
It also
for
looks
everyone
like the Twin
involved.
Towers falling over.
I was not going to make a 9/11 joke. I really wasn't. But okay, you just made one.
It's not
That's
a joke.
nice.
It's an observation.
All right. I don't think the tower fell over in that way exactly, but all right.
But you know you were thinking.
So, yeah, a little bit. I was trying to avoid it. But so but you feel so bad for everyone involved. It does everything that it needs to do in terms of the emotions, which is further extended by Thomas. He leaves. And he's in the middle of nowhere, and then he sees, he's letting his internalized feelings come out. Nobody wants me anymore. And it's further extended by that scene. It feels like the most genuine thing that Miller has ever written, and it's really, really well done. Now, everyone hates Thomas, including himself, and the happiness that once hung in the air is absolutely fucking destroyed by the time the tower is destroyed as well. The characters are at their lowest points, which as they should be, because it's the second act of the story. Sharon seemingly
Stone.
knows
The actress.
she was really hot in what's that movie? Wait, what was the movie she did with Arnold?
The
what was
movie
it?
where she flashes her vagina out in the middle.
I was not going to say that. That's not the one.
Basic Instinct.
Nope.
She did a movie.
Total Recall.
Total Recall.
She's really hot in Total
Arnold
Recall.
Schwarzenegger makes so many Arnold Schwarzenegger noises in that movie.
Yes, she's really hot in that. But Sharon Miller seemingly knows what she's doing when she's writing this story, because it's all the characters are at their lowest point. Like this part of the movie, this is the Empire Strikes Back of the story. Everyone's fucking dead or pissed off. And it's like, oh shit, we better do something to make this better. And Thomas realizes the errors of his ways. And you understand the emotions of all the characters. It's not just, I'm Thomas, I'm Percy, I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to go to the diesel work, blah, blah, blah. It's actually really well done. And you understand the motivations of everyone that's, everything that's happening in the story, which is really well done and also really important to the story.
Hearing you making all these points, it's actually making me like the movie slightly more.
It's all the characters, you understand what's going on, you understand why they're upset, and they talk about why they're upset. It's for a dumb Thomas movie, for dumb little kids, all the characters express their emotions in a way that's not like, Thomas was sad. I was sad, says Thomas. It's like, he explains all of the things that need to happen without it feeling forced or robotic like Sharon Miller usually writes it. And so Thomas, at this point, he's still being portrayed as a relatable character. He goes into the mine, to help the greater good. He goes to help the greater good, and in turn, he sets up the climax. He sets up the climax of the story with the runaway truck, which, to be fair, the sequence is way too stretched out. The runaway truck sequence goes on for like 20 minutes through the film. Like they cut back and forth to the engines, like looking for him, but it's he doesn't show up he doesn't go out of the mine until like 20 minutes, 15 minutes later. It's really long, but up until this point, it's pretty good. Everyone makes sense. It all makes sense. And like I said, so Thomas is chasing after the truck, and the interior of the mine is really fucking cool. The rickety bridge, the caverns, the river, everything. It's like I said earlier, it's put upon Percy, done better, and taken to a further degree. It's really awesome. And so Thomas chases a runaway truck into the mine shaft while he's trying to be a release fluid, but he gets distracted because he's a cheeky little fucker and does his thing.
And he falls. Is so weird.
But it's what he does. That's his thing. Ew. Matt.
What?
You cheeky fucker.
Got him.
Oh, you blood farty fucker. All right. so the engines. Where the fuck's Thomas? Where the fuck is Thomas? Where the fuck's that? Where's that bitch at now? So, yeah. So
we should release an album of all the dumb little songs we sing, all the dumb little ditties.
I think someone did that. I think someone didn't someone do that? The GAOP thing.
They should.
That they made a wooden.
Somebody make
album.
another one.
Another one. Yeah. So the very clever usage of the scene right before the montage. It's really clever usage of the large scale models of James and Percy and how they interact with, respectively, the Skarlowians and the pack. It's like, have you seen Thomas? No. Have you seen Thomas? No. And like you said, it's not like Magic Railroad where 2/3 of the way through the movie, all the engine characters are just abandoned. You never see Henry or Percy or Toby or James ever again. After like the big montage, you see like really useful engine and stuff like that. You really, other than Percy, you really don't see them again. This one, till the end, every character that's introduced into the story plays a part. You see everyone interacting and how they react to Thomas. We're searching for Thomas, and that's done even better, through the perfect use of the montage. I love the newspaper at the beginning. And the sequence encapsulates the very tongue-in-cheek approach of the classic season. The later classic season 5, season 6, and like the office scene in Magic Railroad where Sir Topham Hatt, this live-action person, Mr. Conductor, is on the phone with a wooden figure, and it's like all very sarcastic. It's all very but they know it. Britt Allcroft knew it was dumb, and she was writing it like it was dumb, and it was all a big joke. And that's the very similar way this is done.
You remember when Mr. Conductor ate a carrot and knew the secrets to the universe?
That's why I don't eat carrots, because I'm a fucking idiot.
Because you don't want to know the secrets to the universe?
See, blue pill or red pill?
Blue waffle.
Ew. Okay, but the montage is very well done. And you get to see all the characters, and it's not, like I said, it's not Magic Railroad where they just drop all the engines and you just get to focus on Thomas and Stanley. Now, you're seeing the pack, you get to see Madge again, and Birdie, and Terrence, and Harold. Madge, Midge Smoot. Shining. So, like I said, song's very catchy, you get to see all the characters. And the fact that Thomas conveniently landed on a raft... I think it's totally fine. If he just sunk, that would be really sad. Yeah. And the engines are left wondering, where did Thomas go forever? The fact he just landed on a raft and he doesn't have his driver and fireman there. Again, the importance of the story and the characters are more important than where's Thomas's driver? I hate it because Thomas's driver isn't there. This makes no sense. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So no, but I love, after the song ends, you even get to see Sir Topham Hatt's efforts to see Thomas. And he goes up to the hills, and the sets are so cool looking. They're very season 4. They're very, very season 4 looking. Like I said, this film reminds me so much of that era, especially season 5. But there's definitely elements of season 4 in the visuals. Like I said, the bridge collapsing is really dumb, but it looks a lot like season 4. It really does. Is there a reason that all the work halted without Thomas? Is that
because Thomas is the main character.
Because Thomas is the main character, and everyone needs to have Thomas. Sure. All right. So the back and forth, they cut back and forth. Like I said, Thomas is in the mine for like 15 minutes of the plot. Not 15 minutes, actually. He's in there for like 4 days in terms of the plot, which is kind of long because there's no way that river is that long without like going outside. But whatever. So the pacing is very back and forth. It's a bit like Misty Island, but once again, this one's done a lot better because you get to see all the characters and their efforts. And Misty Island is just Percy talks to Sir Topham Hatt. Sir Topham Hatt talks to Harold. Sir Topham Hatt talks to Whiff. Sir Topham Hatt talks to Captain.
Whiff, what a pointless character.
Don't know why they brought him into that.
What a dumb, pointless character with his stupid glasses. Anyone who wears glasses should be shot.
Yeah, I agree. So they all look for Thomas and whatever, and then Stanley goes off on his own, and he says, Thomas isn't a bad engine. He's a sad engine. Sad. Finally, some depth to this.
Even though it's a dumb
film
line.
uses the trope. Well, it's a dumb How is it? No, it's not a dumb line. What are you talking? It's the
stupid line.
It's not a dumb. No, it's not a dumb line.
Was it supposed to be a pun?
No, it's not alliteration. Well, I mean, it's unintentional. I don't think it's intentional alliteration.
Okay, because if it was supposed to be a pun, then I hate it.
It's not a pun.
Okay.
It's actual character realization, and they say Thomas is a sad engine rather than just all the, oh yes, Thomas is depressed, but we're still going to say he's happy. No, he's clearly depressed, and we're addressing the fact that he's depressed. It's actually some depth. The film uses the tropes of jealousy and arrogance from like the first Toy Story to its advantage, and Stanley is not as pointless as you remember. He goes out to save Thomas due to his own kindness and his want to do good. He's not boring in the film, but afterwards, no one knew what to do with him, so he became boring and pointless in his later TV series appearances. In this film, he actually works really well. I gotta say, he's not that boring. In the beginning, he's boring because everyone's like, oh, Thomas, he's cool. Everyone's telling you, Stanley's cool, he's fun, whatever, welcome, Stanley, no, we're fine. But at the end, second half of the movie, it really works to his advantage. It really actually it's done quite well. Matthew.
Hi. Sorry, I just wanted to see how long it would take you before you realized that I died.
Okay. Yeah. Good work. Good work, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So he's still in the water.
Smoke
and
on the water.
water. Yes, that too. The waterfall jump. Gotta say, it's pretty awesome. He rockets through the wilderness, and it's shot and directed actually really well. It's really good. Then he comes to a stop, and the story, there's this big action sequence, but instead of keep going and they cut back to Stanley or whatever, which they don't, it has time to breathe, and Thomas just sits there and contemplates again, and the story just stops and takes a minute to let everyone breathe, let everyone just sort of chill out, and just let the characters be characters, and their emotions are clear, their motivations are clear, everything that needs to happen in the story happens. It's actually really well done. Not just because, oh, look, he jumped the bridge, he jumped the waterfall.
He jumped the waterfall.
Isn't this cool? Isn't this, we can make a toy out of it? This is dumb, Sharon Miller. It's really well done. Everything that needs to happen in the story happens, and it's not done terribly. All the characters, you know what's going on, you know what they're doing, you know why these things matter. And everything that happens for a reason. I don't know if it's intentionally well done, but it's well done. It's probably not intentionally well done because it's a Sharon Miller script, and a lot of things are still wonky. But there was a lot of effort put into this, and it definitely pays off. So something, I don't know why, but there's something I've always found really fascinating about like abandoned railway lines, and I think that interest was sparked because of this film.
Are you serious?
About 50% of this movie takes place on overgrown tracks in the middle of nowhere that look really cool. I don't know, maybe it's just me personally, but I fucking adore these sets. Stanley's going around, looking around for Thomas, and Thomas is, the outskirts of the town and then further into the hills. It looks really, really cool. All the overgrown trees
really
and moss and the rocks and the cliffs, and it looks really well done.
Dwayne Johnson's.
All of Dwayne. You're welcome.
How many more notes do you have?
Actually, we're at the end here.
Okay, good.
So yeah, we're really close to being done here. So
great.
So Thomas finds Stanley.
Awesome.
Stanley finds Thomas.
Thomas finds Stanley.
And they have a genuine moment. Again, another genuine moment of Thomas apologizing. He feels bad, and Pierce Brosnan doesn't do it in the way that Michelangelos would have done, which is Thomas said, "Hello." Thomas said, "Oh, I'm sorry, Stanley. I was a dick." "Oh, that's okay, Thomas. I like dicks. That's good." And then they made out into the sunset and they puffed off. But no, it's done in a, "I'm so sorry, Stanley. I didn't know. I was mean. I'm so sorry." And it's acted really well. "Oh, well, that's okay, Thomas. I'm gonna pull you out." It's actually done really well. But make up your mind. Are you gonna have the drivers and firemen? Or are you not?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering where the hell the drivers.
Make up your mind. If you don't have them, I don't really care. But if you do, just keep them consistent, because the drivers and firemen are just appear out of nowhere. I don't really think it matters, but it's just make up your mind. You're going to be there or not. So Thomas finds himself helping Stanley, and you can't really feel anything but happy by how the story ends. And you cut around the island and you see all the different engines reacting to it. Like I said, it makes the island feel bigger, and all the engines are included. You can see fucking Dennis and Salty
and Diesel 10
and Diesel 10
okay,
and
Diesel
Terrence.
10 has no reason to be there, and it kind of makes me angry that he's there.
It's just, it makes everything. You see all the characters. You literally see all the characters except for like 5, when it doesn't matter because Duck and Donald and Douglas and Oliver weren't a part of the show, so I don't really care. They weren't there at that point. Fuck, I don't care. But you see every character that was important at the time. You see Murdoch, you see Arthur, you see Neville, you see Rosie, and Terrence and Harvey and Trevor and all the narrow gauge engines and the pack and everyone, and it's really, really cool. And the rhyming, I think the rhyming works here because it quickly gets the message across as opposed to like another song, we had a song like 5 minutes ago. I don't think it would have worked, but it's really well done. And Thomas is back in Great Waterton. He's learned his lesson. He has learned his lesson. He makes it very clear to the audience what the moral is without being too obnoxious. He has a story arc, and it wraps up the film really nicely, along with the final town square scene. It concludes everything perfectly.
Just like how this episode was wrapped up very nicely.
So you get the Jeremy Bloodfart scene
in a little bow.
I don't really get it. It's kind of weird looking, but it happens. It's a little weird. And the song at the end is very hip and very with it, very catchy. And as a 7-year-old, when I was 7 when this movie came out, I gotta say, I really liked it. And it's like they took some sort of poll a couple of years ago with which Thomas songs are the fans' favorite. This one won.
Did it over really? Are you serious?
This is the #1 favorite Thomas song. It beat anything that Mike O'Donnell and Junior Campbell wrote. This is like the #1. I think number 2.
I don't like that.
I think number 2. I think number 2 was the Island song, but #1 was Thomas. That. Thomas, you're the leader. I don't know, but okay. So overall, the scale of this film is fucking incredible. It brings the film leaps and bounds ahead of the show, the TV series episodes that were airing at this time, whilst they still fit into the dumb universe. It wasn't like, this is really smart and really cool, but it doesn't fit in with anything else. It still has elements of dumb, like the inconsistency of the driver, which makes it still fit into the dumb Sodor universe. But it actually, it works in terms of a story, and the character, you feel every moment, and it's acted well, it's directed well, the sets are fucking insane. The film is driven by characters and easily relatable situations. There's big events, but they're scattered quite nicely throughout the film.
Why are you moving so far away from your microphone?
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I dropped the phone. Sorry.
Are you serious?
I did. I'm sorry. I'm almost done here. So the film is driven by character, and it's really, like I said, easily relatable situations. There's big events, but they're scattered quite nicely throughout. Quite nicely throughout. And for the most part, not to mention the incredible sets built by the model team, comparing this film to the season that came before it, season 11, it's really weird. It's kind of fascinating. The film is a lot of fun to watch, and it was even greater when it came out, because it was mixed in with all the schlock and shit of this era. There's a reason. Sorry. There's a reason that so many of the CGI specials pick and choose different, motifs from this film, but they never made them quite work the same. Like I said, Misty Island Rescue takes a bunch of it from Thomas found a new blank, and all the engines are looking for him, and everyone wants to find where Thomas is lost on a barge in the middle of the ocean. In this one, Thomas is lost on a barge in a river. And it's done much better when it's on a smaller scale because there's not quite as much danger. In the movie, in Misty Island, it's like, you should be fucking terrified. You're in the middle of the ocean, dude. This is bad. But in this one, it works. And then Day of the Diesels takes a bunch of the new engine thing. Like I said, in this film, the new engine part, it actually works pretty well because it hadn't been done to the scale. Then they did Day of the Diesels, and it had the whole being jealous of the new engine. And they did The Legend of Lost Treasure, which is being jealous of the
new engine.
Really dumb. But the film is a lot of fun to watch. And, there's a reason that all the specials pick and choose from it. Sure, there's a lot of dumb moments, with pretty lazy story contrivances. But for me personally, I think it's the best Sharon Miller special. I really do. And like I said, I don't count Blue Mountain because everything that everyone likes from Blue Mountain was added in by Andrew Brenner. But as Thomas movies go, this is always. I don't think there's ever going to be anything that pushes this one out of my top 3. I don't know.
Okay, so out of 472, what would you give this episode?
472 out of 350.
Pretty good.
It's got a lot of dumb elements, but I don't think it over. I think it's definitely worth, if you haven't seen it like in a couple years or since it came out. I think it's honestly worth a rewatch. The visuals are great, the characters are great, the storytelling, the music, everything is really well done. And there's only like 4 or 5 moments when you're sitting there going, "This is fucking dumb."
I would probably give it a solid 260.
I really enjoyed it. And I mean, because it reminded me of all of my favorite Thomas things. My top 3 Thomas things ever are in no particular order: Season 4, Season 5, and Magic Railroad. Those are my 3.
Really thought you were about to put Great Discovery in that list, and I was about to end this episode right now.
No, my top 3 favorite things from Tom, not movies, but like, episodes or seasons or whatever, are Season 4, Season 5, and Magic Railroad. And there's so many elements in Great Discovery that are reminiscent, and they're, I don't think they're intentional homages, but they're definitely visual story points, and they're definitely, there's all the sets, and, different sets and crashes, and the way that Harold shows up, and it's just little bits where it's like, that's a nice little wink, and you see all the characters, and it's all tied together in a very nice little bow at the end. And it's like, okay, this was a solid A-.
Speaking of tying things up in little bows, can we wrap this up?
Just a little bow. Just tie a
little bow. Guys, thanks for watching.
That was my what? So Matt, what do you have to say?
I give it a probably 260 out of 300. What was my fucking stupid grading scale? 472 or something.
I don't know.
I give it 300.
You give it a C+.
I give it a C+. It wasn't.
I honestly, I gotta say, without being sarcastic or overlooking things, I gotta say, from a story, it's an A-. But do you want to wrap this up then?
Yes. This episode, I didn't like it as much.
This episode was brought to you by Baja Blast and Audible.com.
This movie, I didn't like it as much as Vinny did. However, I also didn't hate it as much as I thought it was going to be. And actually, listening to Vinny talk about what he liked about it sort of made me appreciate it a bit more, weirdly. So I guess thanks, Vinny, for helping me appreciate this movie a bit more.
Anytime, yeah. No, there's not a whole lot to say with Calling All Engines. Although maybe I'll rediscover too. Who knows?
That movie makes me angry.
I don't think it's as good, but I'm sure there's elements that I will appreciate in it later on.
All right, thank you for watching, guys. We appreciate you.
Subscribe, follow me.
This is my last episode of the podcast.
So much like Great Discovery was the last all models things. We really went out with a bang with this episode because Matt basically spoke the entire time. I really made sure to not talk too much in this episode. Let him speak. I really tried to stay quiet and not really voice my opinion at all.
Yeah,
I'm glad that
my last episode of the podcast. I will never be back ever, guys. So next episode.
Every episode from now on is going to be me and a very, very quiet Rob and Nick.
No, the next episode is going to be you and Nick, Matt.
Me and what?
It's okay. So Eric has a character called Negamat. It's like the opposite.
Oh, Negamat!
Yeah, except he always says it so it sounds like something.
That was you could have named it something different.
Yeah, but
I
wanted to, but Eric, it had to be that, and then he started saying the N-word. So, yikes.
We're not trying to be racist. It just happens.
I am. Goodbye.